I feel like what your mission is and what you've achieved truly has a different like essence and flavor than that kind of like trite offering.
Like, I think Americans can be, can I swear on this podcast? I assume that everyone who
Yes.
listens is over 21 years old. So I just want to make sure. Americans really cut through the bullshit very quickly. They have a very good sense of like, you're lying to me, or this isn't genuine. I feel like you're trying to upsell me, or I feel like this is a trick. And so for me, it's been really funny to like approach it with humor and being like, look, I get it. Like, I'm talking too much. And just getting and seeing people where they're at has always been a big thing of mine. Where a lot of Americans are at is barefoot, you know? It's like barefoot Moscato, and that's okay. I'm not here to say we're too good for barefoot Moscato. It's like, this is normal. And this is what I grew up drinking with too, and I get it. My uncle from Muncie, Indiana loves barefoot Moscato, and he has a membership at Cooper's Hawk, and he's like, I'm into wine. And I'm like, yes, that is most of America. Let's start there. Those are my people. That's great.
Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This is the next generation with me, McKenna Cassidy. For the next episode, I invite you to explore with me what young adults are up to in the Italian wine scene. Let's feast on our discussion of Italian wine and culture. Grab a glass with us. Cin Cin.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm McKenna from the Italian Wine Podcast, and I'm so excited for our pod today. I think it'll be a blast and a new perspective, but also just a good time. So please grab a glass of wine and sit down with us. Marie and I are prepared. I'm joined by Marie Cheslik today. She's a wonderful woman, first of all, but also an influencer, a wine educator, and author. She's also a registered nurse who started to work in wine and in Michelin-star restaurants here in Chicago, and now has built an online wine learning platform and is about to release a new book, How to Read a Wine Label, which we're so excited about. So welcome, Marie, and thanks for joining the pod.
McKenna, that was wonderful. You should do my intros for everything. So thank you. I appreciate it. You just did that so nicely in like 20 seconds.
I'll come around with you and I'll be like, Marie's entering the room. Yeah, okay.
Literally. I would love that. That's fabulous. But yes, thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
It should be a really nice convo today, so I can't wait.
Well, and we're buddies too, so I feel like
I
feel like we're just like at your apartment. So this is
everyone's
fun
just listening to our hangout.
Yeah, literally. It'll be good.
Thank you. Okay, so just tell us a little bit, like, you were born in Chicago. Talk to us about your background, like where you're coming from maybe before the timeline I just offered.
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in the Midwest, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I've been very Midwestern my whole life. Grew up drinking a lot of beer, but not really a lot of wine. And I didn't really get into wine until I moved to Chicago and started working in restaurants here. So I went to nursing school here. That was always part of the plan. I had my bachelor's degree at University of Illinois in Chicago. Got my Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I said, great. I couldn't pass my boards exam the first time. I am a notoriously horrible test taker, especially when I was younger. And I was like, well, I need something to do while I'm like, figuring this out. So I was working in restaurants and I said, man, this is really fun. I really like doing this. And then started working as a nurse in Chicago. And then I said, I miss working in restaurants. Like, I really want to try seriously. And for me, seriously meant Michelin star. So I was going, for all my Chicago locals, I was going either in between Parachute or Elska at the time. And then I really liked Kyle Davidson, who was the general manager and the beverage director at the time at Elska. I told him my goals about working in wine. I saw wine as a way to make working front of house more of a career. And so for me, it was like, yes, like certainly career servers exist, especially in bigger cities, especially like in New York City. But I liked having wine as a skill set and as a way to add something to my tool belt, essentially. So I worked my way up from server to wine director over at Elska. And then COVID came, messed everything up, and then started working as a travel nurse within the city. So local travel nurse. And then I started Slik Wines in August of 2020, which has been lots of things, but always a wine education platform, always down for approachable wine education. And now recently, yes, it's taken the form of a book. So it's been quite a journey, but we're doing it.
That is a great joy. What was your kind of like, what was the moment where you were like, I'm only familiar with beer? Was it in Elska that you got exposed to what wine is, or you had already had like moments of tasting with industry people, or what was that like?
Yeah, I had some moments where I worked at other restaurants before, and that was always just part of the program for any restaurant. It's just like you need to have some baseline knowledge of wine. And it was always so interesting because it was such a huge part of the restaurant and a huge part of your check as a server. But it was always like something you kind of just get away with by the skin of your teeth, right? Like a lot of people are just like, just know the basics or know how to lie to people or know like 2 wines off the wine list and just sell those all the time. You know what I mean? We call them pocket wines, which I still teach sommeliers and servers, just being like, just when you start out and you don't know anything, just like know 5 wines for sure and then go from there. But I think it was just such an obvious blind spot for front of house. And when I say front of house, I mean servers, bartenders, anyone in the restaurant world who interacts with guests. So not chefs, not the dishwasher. And for me, it was like, what a skill set to be able to really understand a huge part of this restaurant. And there could be so much potential with that, is what I saw.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's interesting because like I feel like the word like making wine approachable can kind of be like this like buzzword and you're kind of like, all right, you're also going to try to make this approachable. But like I feel like what your mission is and what you've achieved is just truly has a different like essence and flavor than that kind of like trite offering. And I just think it's cool how it's developed. So I want to like dive into that a little bit.
For sure. Yeah. And thank you for saying that. I feel very tired of the approachable conversation as well, too, because it's people say it, but then people don't really do it or they don't stick around with it or they don't actually know how to communicate it. But I talk with so many, I think talking with so many Midwesterners really humbles you because you like people don't care. People really don't care how much knowledge you have. Like people want your help, but they're like, please stop talking after like 2 minutes. And I was like, got it. I have to like do this as short as possible and like speaking, not a dig at anyone, but like speaking at a 5th grade level, which is so hard for wine people too. But that's how most people communicate. So it's been really fun working and trying to figure that out.
In doing that with this sense of like joy and presence, not like, oh, I have to, speak on this different terms, but also enjoying it on those.
No, I agree. Yeah. I think like Americans can be I think they're, can I swear on this podcast? I assume that everyone who listens is over 21 years old. So I just want to make sure. Like, I think Americans really cut through the bullshit very quickly. And I think people just are like, they have a very good sense of like, you're lying to me, or this isn't genuine, or I feel like you're trying to upsell me, or I feel like this is a trick. Like, I think people, especially Americans, have like a very high sense of that. And so for me, it's been really funny to like approach it with humor and being like, look, I get it. Like I'm talking too much, and just like addressing the elephant in the room all the time with the wine conversations and just getting and seeing people where they're at has always been a big thing of mine. And it's like, I've talked about this recently too, but like where a lot of Americans are at is barefoot. It's like barefoot Moscato, and that's okay. I'm not here to say we're too good for barefoot Moscato. It's like, this is normal. And this is what I grew up drinking with too. And I get it. I get it. I'm not, my uncle from Muncie, Indiana loves barefoot Moscato and he has a membership at Cooper's Hawk. And he's like, I'm into wine. And I'm like, yes, that is most of America, really. And so let's start there. Those are my people. That's great.
Amen. Heard that. That's awesome. Has that been like an unexpected or rewarding part of building the community, or what have been some like unexpected and rewarding things that have taken place?
I love chit-chatting. I love meeting people.
You're so good at it. Like not like in a truly authentic way. Like you're just genuinely like, this is your personality. It's really awesome.
I like doing it in restaurants. I like doing it at the hospital with my patients. I totally don't mind going to a party by myself where I don't know anyone. Like I find the joy of trying to find a connection with a person because I really do believe that we are all just so similar and we don't realize it. And I get a lot of joy of being like, oh, you're from this part, or like, oh, you do this for work, or oh, you know this person, or you enjoy doing this thing. I get a lot of joy from that. And I think people sense that. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing this, obviously, too. But
totally,
it's very fun.
In the hospital context, what effect do you feel like the chit chat has on the patient in the moment? Because I feel like it probably has a similar disarming effect, for example, in the real world, or just before moving to the wine example, like as a registered nurse, like you were doing that first and you were being yourself in that context first.
Yeah, I think especially in the hospital setting, I think people are having the hardest moments of their life. And if you can just help people feel a little more like normal and human and treat that person like a friend in that moment, that it just really helps them not feel sick in bed. If you can just say something, even if it's like a stupid, corny joke, like sometimes I get nursing students who come with me. That's like always part of the nurse's job, is sometimes like people who are in nursing school follow you and shadow you. That's like part of their clinicals. And then for me, it's corny, but it makes people laugh. Just like servers have so many corny things that, makes their guest laugh. But for me, it's like, you get 2 for the price of 1 today. This is my nursing, just like,
Totally.
just like stupid stuff like that. It's like, if whatever levity I can give to the day, or if I can make them laugh, I feel like that's a win. And so I do that with people in every context, because wine can be such a serious thing as well, and an analytical thing and an academic thing. And I think that brings joy to it brings joy to people, but I would say a much smaller amount of people. But most people drink wine because like they think it's fun. And that's it. Like I talk to so many nurses who say, I love wine. And I'm like, great. What kind of wine do you like? And people will say sangria. And I'm like, you and me, McKenna. I'm just like, could you imagine if like one of our coworkers said sangria? And I'm just like, wow, it's just like so different. It's so different. And I don't even I think people would be like, wow, sangria sucks. That's like the initial gut reaction for wine people. And I'm like, we have to turn that off. We have to turn off the oh, that's a bad wine. It's like, no, the win is that this nurse wants to drink wine at the end of the shift. And I think for me, that's the point.
Yeah. Okay, talk to me about your parties that you originally started doing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I need help understanding, was there an economy to this party and a business model, or is this a hang and the profits are truly the fact that everyone came and enjoyed wine to the extent that they personally enjoy wine, and met a friend? Or what is the economy of these parties? I think from 2 perspectives, obviously as a consumer attending, but then also for people who are gaining business insights, what value add could this be? Because there's always a concern, can I get my return or XYZ? And you partner with businesses to execute these, but kind of from your first party to maybe now they've evolved, but I'm just curious what that looks like.
Yeah. And I think the parties have generally always been a part of the business model. And initially when it started in August of 2020, obviously peak COVID, we're doing a bunch of virtual events. So I think that was very popular, and it was really, frankly, easy, and the money was there. So it was this is the way we make money. This is the profit. This is the business model. And then very quickly, and we knew this from the beginning, it's we're gonna we have to start here, and then we just have to pivot as we move forward, because this isn't going to last forever. COVID's not going to be the market forever. And so I like the parties. I like doing them. They aren't as integral as part of the profit for Slik in general. And so for me, generally, when I throw parties, it's more marketing, more visibility that Slik exists and these businesses exist. And it's one piece of the part of the profit, but it's also really just promoting my page. And now really it's nice to have a product. That was always kind of the missing piece of okay, if the parties aren't making as much money from a business standpoint, and maybe I can't charge as much as I want to, frankly, too. It's just the market kind of caps, being you can have X amount of followers or X amount of following, but people still view that service as a certain thing at the approachability point that I have. If I was a master sommelier and I was teaching in places that maybe was just naturally higher price point with naturally higher price point wines, then maybe I could charge more. But for the people I like teaching and the approachability factor, I can only charge, frankly, so much until people are nah, it's too much. I was okay. And that takes years to figure out. That takes forever. And also ouch, it hurts my ego a little bit, to be honest. I'm oh my God, what? You don't think I'm worth that much? And it's well, I have to take it at face value for what it is.
Yeah.
So the more the parties I do now, it's they're just things that are ideas I have that I think are fun. And I also think sets sort of the brand standard for Slik, like my Sopranos tasting, where I watched Soprano, Italian wine podcast. I watched Sopranos for the first time a year ago. And I said, wow, there's so many obscure but absolutely correct wine references in The Sopranos. Furio, who is the character from Italy. This, show takes place in New Jersey with American Italians. And then it's Furio's actually the only Italian, one of the few Italians in the show. And when he moves to Jersey, he starts growing Falangina. And I was wow, Falangina is so specific. But he talks about how he's from Campania. And I was wait, that's actually right. Like someone actually cared to like get that right. Like they do grow Falangina there. It's like so weird. So I just like pieced a couple of those like little fun things together and being like, this is fun. People like Sopranos, people like wine, and then now therefore people like Slik too. So it's like it's just things that I enjoy creatively that don't maybe have a tangible ROI, just like how media doesn't always have a tangible ROI. Like you buy back then you'd buy a newspaper ad or like an advertisement on TV and you still wouldn't really know if it was really working, So it's funny to have these conversations with marketing people being like, how do I know I get my ROI? And I'm like, you kind of don't, but it's always been like that. So like, why is it now the pressure even higher for influencers to do that? Because that's essentially what an influencer is now. It's like they're the TV station. They're the people putting the media out into the world, into the eyeballs, and to the attention. And I think it's so interesting. I've had so many conversations about being like, how much should influencers get charged for what thing? So to answer your question of like events, for me right now, it's more just like brand building. And I think it's fun. And then now I have a book to sell. So now I can relate it to the book. So that will be a more tangible thing that people can hold on to. So also why I wanted to make a physical product. That made sense.
And all of the local connections you've made in those parties, like all of those people are thus invited to the book launch. So like clearly, like I think we want to see an ROI in the short to midterm, but like me working in, like personally I've worked in on-premise, like sales and on-premise for 5 years, and like it is the long game. But like the long game is extremely rewarding if you can sustain your patience and your commitment, and like it'll come back around for you. It really always does, which I think is so cool.
And I agree. And it's always funny working with some of these legacy brands who are like, but I want it now. And it's like, but haven't you learned the lesson that like this is an exponential curve for some things, and some things just take time. So I couldn't agree more. But it is interesting to see, like, I've learned a lot about a lot. Starting.
Absolutely. And like through your own like path to it. Yeah, it's been sweet.
For sure.
So you mentioned this book. I definitely think let's touch on it. So it's called How to Read a Wine Label. The design is sweet. Every like page you have like a wine label, and it's literally telling you how to read it, because I recall from some of your Instagram posts you described how someone, when they were teaching you wine, they were like, you need to understand every single word on this label. And that's how you're going to understand what the wine is and all the other wines in its context. And first of all, I think that's great advice. So rewarding when you pick up the German bottle and you're like, oh yes, I master.
I do know what that means.
I do know. It's so empowering. And I think like also as a motivation. So tell us a little bit about the book. How long have you been dreaming of this, and why now?
Yeah, great questions. So How to Read a Wine Label was, you do enough events and you talk enough people and you kind of have these little Q&As. And I just heard way too many times that people picked a wine because they thought a label was cute. They go, oh, there's a cat on it. Oh, I thought this was, fun, or I liked the font or whatever. And I was like, I bet I could probably make a class about like connecting those dots for people. And so I started scripting out this class. And then my wife even suggested, she's like, you should do some content about it. Like you should like this, there's something here because this is a really common problem for people. And I'm like, you're right. That makes sense. And then I realized it would be a better as a book format, because then I also imagined, like, frankly, like the marketing potential for it too. It's like, if I can solve this problem in a short, approachable way, like a TikTok video. This book is 144 pages, which I also think is very short for a wine book as well. There's so many wine books that I think they go too far, too deep. Even I had moments where I was like, should I touch on winemaking? And I'm like, no, like this is not, we need to like, we really just have to hit the meat and potatoes, the juicy center of like what is helpful, and then go from there. And I understand now why wine books are so long, because it's like, it does require some context to fully understand. But for me, it's like, this is a book that helps you with solve one problem, which is how to read a wine label. And then if you have more questions after that, there are 1 gazillion books out there that would pique that interest. So if you read this more how to read a wine label, and then you go, oh, okay, she mentioned carbonic maceration, I want to learn more about that. It's like, great. There's a book on that. Or I want to learn more about Italian wine because I drink Italian wine at home and now I understand Italian labels a little bit better. It's like, great. There's a million books on Italian wine. Like, I wanted it to be the book that starts asking questions, and I want to be able to address, I don't want to address every single question because everyone's going to have different questions. So it's like, why don't I just open the door for people to feel confident and give them context to ask good questions too, being like, now you understand New World and Old World. from my book. So it's like, now you can say, I like old world wines. And then you go, why is that? Then you can start asking yourself, okay, let's check out French wines, let's check out German wines, check out Italian wines, Spanish wines. And so the marketing potential for me is that like this book exists in a wine shop or a grocery store, not necessarily a bookstore. Like, sure, it lives with all the other wine books in Barnes and Noble, and I think that's fine. But it does best if you're at a wine shop and then you see a book called How to Read a Wine Label, and you're like, that's it, bro. Like, that's the book. That's the book for me. Like,
That's
and
pick
even
that
the
up
cover,
with my yes.
even the cover is like a wall of wine and then someone picking a bottle off the shelf. I'm like, that's it. Like, that's what I'm trying to convey. Here's your problem. I have solved your problem. And even like restaurant training guides. Like I'm talking with some local Chicago restaurants being like, everyone who works front of house should get this book. I'll come in and teach a class about blind tasting or reading wine labels and just like getting people started. I say getting people 0 to 1 is the thing I'm most interested in doing. It's like people think they're meeting people where they're at or really starting at ground zero, but it's like really starting at ground zero is being like, I just did a bottle of Cote Rôtie this morning for like how to read a wine label. And it's like, okay, Cote Rôtie is a place. Cote Rôtie is a place in France. And in wine world, we would call that the old world, And it's like, and what does that mean? Like, that's really starting square one. Like, people don't know Cote Rôtie is a place. People are like, I thought that was a grape or whatever. Like, people just like, don't actually know. Like, we really have to spell it out. I see this in nursing world all the time as well too. Like, I teach a lot about diabetes to patients, and for me, I guess I'm shocked because sometimes I like talk to people and I'm like, wow, I just thought that was assumed knowledge, but I'm so wrong. For example, I had a diabetic patient drinking Coca-Cola and I was like, you really like your blood sugar is already high. Like, you shouldn't be drinking Coke. And he's like, oh, really? And I was like, wow, I really don't know anything. And then I was like, okay. I was like, you don't have to give up Coke, but like Diet Coke also helps. It spikes your sugar a little, but it's way better than the full sugar Coke. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was like, oh my God, like this is where people are at. Okay, we have to get there first before we can be like, because if I told that guy to drink water, for example, he's going to be like, I'm not doing that. I love soda. It's like we have to find the middle.
Take them too far. Totally.
Yeah. You're taking it too far that he's never going to do it realistically. Totally. Right. He'll just like tell you, oh yeah, I know. It's like, of course he knows. He knows he should drink water and eat better and exercise more. But it's like you have to give people the steps to get to something that is actually achievable for people. And I see that with the problem with wine too. It's like people don't actually do that. So
totally. And I think there's a fear, that's well said. And it seems like there can be a fear for like perhaps those who have been schooled in wine and are in an effort to communicate or teach about wine, like a fear that I'm leaving something out, that I might not talk all about the terpenes and the flavonols, and I might not speak to, the total acidity could not be addressed. And so you have done well at letting some of that go in an effort to leave something to be desired, to create those questions. And it's okay, like, to counter that almost fear of an educator that something could possibly be left out, while leaving room for continued conversation by, spurring additional questions and actually letting someone like experience a glass of wine in like a simple context and be like, oh, I liked that enough to return to it or return to its sister or want to try it again. And I think like that's probably the goal, is to like can help walk on that.
100%. 100%. Like, yes. And I agree to the fear that many wine people have, or that's how it's viewed as snobbery too. People want, whether it's good intention or not, people do want to call out when you're missing a piece of information. And I see this all the time on the internet. You're like, well, what about this example? And I'm like, we're not talking about that right now. Like, if someone wants to be asked that, there's so many great educational resources that we can put them in. But I am very much not addressing everything on purpose. Like, because you lose people when you talk for way too long. It's just like, we have to make this bite-sized first. We have to get to the gooey center first. And then we can add the what ifs and the situationals, and this vintage was warmer. And I'm like, oh my God, please, people, we have to cut that out. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's technically, it's warm climate, but it's technically cool climate because it's a higher. It's like, yes, I get it. I get it. Let's not though. We're confusing people. Let's start.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to pivot slightly. You were just in Japan and Montalcino,
Yes, I
like
was.
in the span of a month or two. Tell me maybe why you were there. Was that just personal travel or kind of something you experienced that was
Japan was personal travel, but I always like to go to a wine shop, certainly in a different country too, especially, halfway across the globe. But my wife's sister is a professional oil painter and she had an art show out there. She's very cool. So it was like this was a trip that we had known was going to happen for a couple of years. Very excited to go out there.
right? You have the wonderful art on your wall with the horse.
The horse, yes,
Yes,
I have a 7-foot horse in my condo. That's Nikki Maloof. Yes, yes,
yellow and blue. Yeah,
it's great. It's
it
great.
is
She's great.
awesome.
Yeah, and so I have one friend out there. It's my publisher's friend, and I was like, "Show me where to go." And she took me. It's a lot of natural wine in Japan right now, and it's also we went to. There happened to be one place by my house that was called like the Sommelier's Cave or something like that. And it was attached to a French bakery. And the thing about what I picked up from my very brief time in Japan is that I went to a bike shop and I went to a wine shop. Those were like the two things I really wanted to see. Bless you. I know no one
Thank
heard
you.
it, but I saw it. And so, like at the bike shop, for example, like not only is this a place that sells bikes, like this is a museum to the culture of biking. And so there was like cyclist jerseys and like they were playing old school Tour de France videos in the background of like historic Tour de France wins. And like there was like so much paraphernalia of like bike culture. And I was like, that's really cool. And they did this at this wine shop too, where it's like they don't just sell wine. Like they certainly did a great job collecting like basically all of the Domaine Romani Conti like cuvées, not every vintage, but certainly some older vintages too. And like the Krugs and the Chateau Yquem, like all these kind of classic, particularly French producers for this wine shop. But they also had like, as someone who loves the wine labels, they had the Mouton Rothschild artist series poster, which so Mouton Rothschild every year has since like 1945 has hired a famous artist to do their label cover. And so like they have like this old school, I know is expensive, kind of hard to find poster that's like a collectible item. And I'm like, that is so cool. Like the Japanese, at least from what I saw again in my short period of time, is like there's a massive respect to not just the product, but like everything that surrounds it. I just think that's really cool. So I had a very cool experience there. And then Montalcino was for work. Lucky me. That was
Love
great.
it. I too have been for work.
Nice.
I hope to die in Montalcino and just
Well, you've been to Tuscany for work before, haven't you?
yes, and then also with the Vinitaly Academy.
Okay. This was my first time in Tuscany. So this was kind of special for me too, because like this is one of these places in the wine world where like, oh, you have to go, it's famous, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Like I want to hear from you too. Like, how does Montalcino compare to like other parts of Tuscany that are like also famous and well known?
That's a good question. What struck me was the geography of Montalcino. Like literally, it's like a little hilltop kingdom.
Montalcino. It just means like mountain of the oaks. It's just like
Oh yeah.
it's just like one mountain.
And they have the path that like goes around.
Yep.
And I was there for Benvenuto Brunello and for the 2019 releases, and they threw some cool red party with Negronis like that night, and you're just like literally the geography is what struck me. I mean, in comparison to the hilliness of like Rada and Castellina and Chianti, like all of the Colli coming down. But it's so picturesque, obviously, with the ciprese trees. And then I think in my brain, comparing it also to Bulgari, where you're getting much lower in elevation, you're sloping down towards the seaside. You still have a similar like xeriscape with plants and grasses and etc. Slight temperature variation too, just getting a little more heat. But in general, slight variations of food as well, but still leaning into that like garden, osteria, traditional meats, etc. Mostly just seeing the wine variations and then the hill variations too.
Yeah.
I think it was really nice to see the landscape. I wanted to go back so I could, I mean, you're on the rat race of winery, like you're trying to get through all of the wineries, but I really want to go back just to like hike and like walk and march through the land. It was, and bike and whatever, because it was truly like delicious. It was beautiful.
Yeah, lots of cyclists because it's along a famous bike trail in Italy. So I was like, it was cool to see cyclists go through there. And I got like a merino wool bike jersey from there. I was like, damn, this was like probably the coolest thing I got in Italy. Yeah.
What was one of your like favorite producers that you visited?
There was a producer that was just shockingly different than everything else that we had there. I forgot the Italian name of it, but it's like it's good times. It's like the tuna good times, and I'm like, that's good. Buon tempo is probably what it is if I had to guess, because that's what
That's
it is in
awesome.
Italian, I think. So it was just
It is buon tempo.
okay, perfect. I was like, let's use that half Spanish to work, right?
Absolutely.
It was special in that Maltocino is interesting too because it's not a super like they haven't been globally successful for a very long time. Like they really got their only for the past 60 years. Like in 1960 did they really start like making a lot of money off these wines and being able to charge these prices in America. Like it is one of the more expensive Italian wines you can get, I feel like, because of the oak aging. And I think I had a certain idea of what this would be like. And I was like, oh, these are like pretty serious, bold red wines, maybe similar to if I was going to Piedmont, like I felt like it would be sort of like that. It ended up being like a lot more laid back in general than I thought it was going to be. But then, especially at Buon Tempo, he looked like a kid, he looked like he was like 35 and he was wearing a bucket hat and he was making wine and he was distinctly trying to do something different, but it still tasted really classic, like the classic Italian low intervention style, but it ended up
Yeah.
being just a lot lighter. And maybe I just appreciate that too. Like we had beautiful wines, Poggio di Soto, like wines that we get here in the US that I really adore. And that's more of the style I'm familiar with. But the wines he were making were just, I think, more casual table wines, but they were really great quality. And I was like, that just really took me by surprise that I'm sure, of course, a winery like this exists in every region, but it was also the very last winery we saw. And I think that made the most impact too, where it was just
Definitely.
I'd be like, I think I have a good idea of this region. And then we see this guy and I'm like, I don't know anything. I actually know nothing. So perfect. So yeah, that was
That's
the most.
beautiful. Crack open all of the answers that you thought you had by the end of
I
the
know.
trip and bust
I
them
know.
open again with more questions.
I know. I'm the guy in the comments where it's like, but what about this example? And I'm like, and you're right. And you're right,
And you're right. Okay, so as we're nearing the end of our time, talk to me about like your hopes and goals for Slik. Obviously, seeking a successful book launch, everyone who's listening should pre-order the book. I'll say it.
Please check it out. Yes. I don't know when this is going to come out either, but yeah, pre-order or order. And for me, the goal is that we just keep slicking. I keep making content. We keep slicking along. I would love to have these books be in Costco, in Total Wine, in Target, in all these big box stores that sell wine where I feel like I can really bridge the gap for people who go to Target, and being like, okay, you buy barefoot. That's fine and good. You buy the barefoot Pinot. Louis Jadot exists too, and not for much more. You're kind of getting your stepping stone into like, this is a producer that makes wines at so many different price points and so many different quality levels and like just opens the door a little bit more to people to get people excited about that and what that means for people. And so if I could be in, small and big retailers alike, that would be huge, So if anyone's listening out there, I got a book for you. if you work at Trader Joe's, I got a book for you.
That's right.
Like, I picked all these labels as real examples of wines I saw where I'm like, this is a perfect stepping stone wine. So growing the Slik Squad. These are my people, and then promoting how to read a wine label. Let's sell 1 million books, baby. Let's do it. Let's get people excited about wine, and let's get people excited about all sorts of wine. So that's my hope and dream. I think I can do it.
I feel like it's already done. It's only a matter of time.
That's right. It's only a matter of time.
It's only
Very
a matter
good.
of time.
Ominous end to everything.
I say that a lot to myself to like manage things and emotions. I'm like, it's only a matter of time until. Okay, let's do some lightning round questions.
Oh, okay. Let's do.
Are you ready?
Let me have a sip of wine. Hold on. Yeah, I'll be ready.
You're drinking Prosecco. I have Hyde Chardonnay.
Fabulous.
Okay, if you were a wine, what would you be?
It's like I shouldn't have an answer to this. I'm just going to go, I'm going to go Beaujolais. I think there's a classic part of me, but I like being jumpy, carbonic maceration-y, bubblegum poppy, but there's something there. There's something behind the bubblegum pop. So that's it.
Which Italian wine would you trust to babysit your cats?
I would probably trust none of these like party wines. I think I'd have to go north. I'd have to go a little. I want to trust these people. I'd probably want to go party with, Southern Italy, but if someone's watching
You're in
my
Southern.
cat,
Someone's got to watch the cats. Yeah.
yeah, I'm speaking of Piedmont. I feel like I trust those people, I'm just like, I think they're serious folk, maybe relation to how close they are to Austria and Germany. Just,
Well thought through. I'd go Valtellina. I'd be
yes.
like, I
Nice.
trust you guys.
I trust you. I trust you guys.
I know that you know what I need.
I can call you at any time of the day and you're going to get the thing done. Yes.
Exactly.
I need that.
Okay, if you could only drink one Italian wine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Right. So this has got to be a party wine. Now we're going to go to the
Yeah.
south. Now we're going to. I would say, I feel like I want to be in Sicily. I think I want to drink like Nerello Mascalese, which I know is like, I just feel like I want to hang out there. Or yeah, somewhere near Positano. So maybe I'm doing Palagina too, like bring it on, if I have to do red and a white, but along the coast somewhere. I'm going somewhere warm. I want to think about being there all the time.
As we turn to winter in Chicago, we continue to return to the Mediterranean ideal.
That's right. You get it.
What is the weirdest wine myth you've ever heard? Or someone's come to you and they're like the pop and the diabetes. Like, what's the misunderstanding?
Yeah, that sulfites give you headaches. It's just like, I'm like, I think you just needed to drink more water. I think you needed to probably just drink less wine, or that the wine is like somehow better for you in Italy and in the US. And it's like, maybe, but also I think it's just better that you probably should have eaten something at the beginning of the night. I hear that and I'm like, but what was the context for that evening? Like, is it a bachelorette party, or like, did you really have one glass of wine at dinner? I'm just like, okay.
Right.
Okay, I hear that. So we can
That's
treat
well
ourselves
said.
a little better too. You don't have to have a hangover every time you drink. I promise. There's something else going on.
There is another way.
There is indeed another way. Yes.
We vouch for the other way. Yes. That's awesome. Well, anything else you'd like to share? I feel like we covered a ton of ground and like this conversation was truly a delight.
You did great. Follow Slik Wines, SLIK. It's the tail end of my last name, Marie Cheslik. So I'm on all of them. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook even. I'm on Facebook, guys.
He's on Facebook.
Yeah, so
everything will be in the show notes. So guys, you definitely have to check it out.
Yeah,
honestly,
check it out.
Opening Instagram and watching Marie's videos, a highlight.
It's a true joy for me to show up on your phone screen every morning.
Yes,
so.
Yes, we thank you for your 8 a.m. tastings. That
yes,
inspire
if you
us.
like 8 a.m. blind tastings, I'm your girl. So come on through.
Yes, cheers to that.
Cheers
well,
to
we
that.
can't also wait till the book comes out, and just thank you so much for sharing so authentically and your storytelling with us. We just are so delighted to learn from you and hear from you, and I know that the listeners are gonna have a good time hearing this. So thank you, and
I appreciate it. Thank you, Honey Bear.
And don't forget to tune into the next episode of the Italian Wine Podcast, everyone, for more good times. Cheers and ciao.
Tante grazie. Thanks so much for being here with me today. Remember to catch our episodes weekly on the Italian Wine Podcast, available everywhere you get your pods. Salute.